So, hello to everyone. Nice to see you all for this panel for today.
5 years ago, we created a little organization. I don't know if you're familiar with Ladies Do Comics, trying to push more female authors in the spotlight.
Komikingan interesatuta zaudela, guk egin genuen kolektibo bat, komiki lan batzuen konpilazio bat egiteko.
It became better because a lot of the leading comics artists in Israel are women.
In Finland, like the comics scene kind of has the same challenges as the Finnish society in general, that we've done a pretty good job at creating a society that's pretty equal, but it's hard for a lot of people to admit that there's still more work to be done.
La nuit courra après toi. Dans les taches néon blanc, les lampadaires marqueront ton passage d'un clin d'œil.
Gre na jok in postane ji neizmerno slabo. Hanna ve, da to ne more biti jutranja nosečniška slabost.
Munnholið mitt stútfullt af sveppum, káli, brúnni sósu, malti, gúrkum og rauðum smartís.
Moters nėra, vyrai buvo preiškę. Troleibusuose bijodavau greta jų atsisėsti, ar jų žvilgsniais pasitikinčių savimi, išsiskėtusių per pusantro krėslo.
De parcă era o proprietate străină. După un timp, le-am împărțit prietenilor.
La poésie est dans la langue.
So in the front of Cold War, not literally, but you know, in our minds we were, you know, freedom fighters in Soviet Estonia. When we watched Finnish commercial.
Jag har inga ord att säga, för jag älskar min mor. För allt blir ilska.
Hori edo izarren hautzarekin nahaztuko den energiaren bat, nahiko nukeena da behintzat debere guztiak ondo egin da joan, eta bake-baketan geratu amaren altzoan lotan bezala.
And at any rate, she says, if it really is true that we are energy and we become energy, and like the stars we crawl into stardust, then she hopes that by the time she has become stardust, that people can say that she did her homework, she did what she came here to do.
I like watching TV. I like watching films. I've written about a video game. I've written lots of poems about Super Mario.
The last poem I'm trying to write is about the fact of tying up my shoelaces too much or cutting my nails too much.
და სიკვდილამდე თუ მის შიგნით არ ცხოვრობს ბავშვი, რომელმაც იცის, რომ ხატული ტყუილი არის უფრო მართალი ვიდრე რეალური სინამდვილე, მისგან პოეტი არ გახდება.
So I'm convinced that if a person is not born a poet, if some higher power has not kissed him or her on his neck and given this and the ability to remain a child till the very old age, there is a very little possibility of becoming a poet.
I think yes, but I don't know if it's an Eastern European thing, but it's definitely tradition here, going all the way back to 19th century literature, and it's just a kind of way of, you know, trying not to break under all of this hardship, because really history wasn't very kind to Eastern Europe, to be honest, in the early 20th century anyway. Well, all of the 20th century really. So I think there's just this kind of, you know, we kind of really use this as a coping mechanism and turn everything upside down a bit to laugh at ourselves.
Dodgen og legge noen ost, noen darras verklig vint noen.
Son italeguja versem.
El corazón, una bala de plata.
Văd tineri cu Che Guevara pe pept, tatuați cu Che Guevara, lideri politici cu Che Guevara pe tricouri.
We are constantly struggling to find the right word as a translator or the right phrase.
Dit is hoe het begint. Du komst thuis en bleef staan.
Maybe you are not just depressed because of some chemical imbalance in your brain. Maybe you're also depressed because you're being oppressed by capitalism or something like that.
Someday it will become as necessary for us to fly as it is now to walk and swim.
That in his idea was showing influences between poetry and movies, that these two things are very connected to each other.
2 Finger zum V, 2 Schenkel ins Delta, Mu, sagt die Kuh.
One thing I like about illustration is that it can be quite varied. So I do a mixture of things, mainly just drawing, quite straightforward.
I realized talking to him that, I mean to the writer, that being alone and disconnected from your dear ones. Imagine it was, as I was saying, the beginning of the 2000s, where it was not so easy to travel. There were low costs. He even told me that, you know, if his father was ill and he wanted to go home, he would have to pay, I don't know, $350 euros for a flight ticket, which was pretty much at that time. He didn't have this kind of money. So it was not so easy to travel. And this meant that he was thinking a lot about home.
I think there's this, I mean, of course, we all do want to write something that will somehow kind of transcend that specific moment or that specific thing you're talking about.
Hannah is fed up of poetry because she doesn't want to write anymore. She's fed up with also maybe Slovenian poetry and poets.
I also see as an artist, as a painter and a poet, it's so different to post it on Instagram. Like you feel like the real audience now is on internet. So it's not people going to an exhibition like physically, it's happening just in front of a screen.
I've been thinking a lot about this idea of the future, and I mean, I think you get that anyway, right? You write a poem today, if you're very lucky and somebody wants to publish it, that's probably 3 months from now, and things have changed. Or that feeling that you write a poem yesterday and love it, and today, it's the worst thing you've ever written and you delete every single word of it.
I find that poetry, even things you don't necessarily share with other people, it's almost like a kind of form of diary writing. So even if you're not intending to, or like cognitively intending to write to a future, you are, because you'll still be able to read that later and sense changes in yourself and in the world, and things that maybe were taboo 10 years ago maybe aren't now.